even if you're speaking today and you like are feeling that anxiety, it's oftentimes stemming from those young wounds that may have felt so insignificant. You wouldn't think that those would be like traumatic, but like at that age, those things can really have an imprint on your nervous system. Welcome to the Multiple Truths podcast. We're your hosts, Holly
and Brittany. This is a space where we can come together healing in community, where we share our self-love journeys, insights, and wisdom.
A space with no hierarchy or judgment, fostering love, compassion, and respect, and where we honor our differences. With open minds and hearts, everyone's truth is welcome here. We are in this together. Let's dive into the episode.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Multiple Truths podcast. If you're watching, you can see that it is both Holly and I today.
Yes, hello.
Holly's been here in Vancouver. It's a rainy day today.
Cozy vibes.
Cozy vibes
right now.
We've been pretty lucky though so far with the weather. The rain has held off since she's been here. It's actually warmed up a little bit too, which has been nice. We went for a little walk this morning, a little stroll.
Yes, it's so beautiful here. You've heard me talk about it in other episodes, but it's just like so beautiful, like all the fall leaves. I actually love that it's raining right now. It gives us an excuse to just be like cozy up here.
Yeah,
I love it.
So with that, we are, if you're watching, you see my phone's out. We are going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A today. So I'm going to have my phone out, going to be looking at it to read some of the questions. We are going to try to keep our answers short and sweet, just because Holly and I are deep. We could do like an hour episode on each question. So we're going to try to we're going to be mindful of time so that we can get through as many questions as possible. We're not going to get through all of them, but we are definitely going to dive into a few of them. So I'm going to open up with this question. How did y'all meet and figure out how to turn online long distance friends into person? I love this question.
I know, it's cute. It's interesting. We never really like had an online relationship. You know how a lot of people
that's very true.
Make friends online. You become like social media friends. Like that really wasn't our journey at all.
No.
So I had Brittany's readings were like popping up on my page, on my TikTok. Was it a little over a year ago?
It would have been over a year because we met over a year ago now.
Yeah.
So it would have been
a bit before that. A year and a half ago, and I booked a reading with her. And when she gave me my reading, it kind of went into like the work that I do a bit. It was like positive energy around the work that I do, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what do you do for work?" And I said that she wanted to have me on her podcast. And so when she went to have me on our podcast, we realized that we were both in San Diego. When we filmed.
Coincidentally, like that's when I was like traveling. That's when she happened to be traveling for a little bit. I felt
called to like go to San Diego for a month just to like focus on myself and
and I remember you asking me, you were like, "What are you up to now? Are you still in San Diego?" And I was like, "Yeah," or something like that. And I was like, "Yeah." And you were like, "I am too." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "So we could have done this in person." So we ended up hanging out after that.
But we didn't know each other before. Like I had only like seen Brittany's videos popping up on my page.
And we definitely like connected on the podcast. Like
absolutely.
It just flowed, and we were both in San Diego, and I just wanted to meet you in person. And we hit it off.
We went to lunch. We went to like lunch, and then we went to Encinitas.
We went to the beach. Swammies Beach. Because we did two things together in San Diego.
We did hang out twice.
Because we went to that meditation garden, and then the second time we got lunch on the Cliff Falls or whatever. Sunset Cliffs. And then we ended up doing an ayahuasca ceremony together in October, and that like really bonded us. And then we went through some hard moments together too, which really challenged our friendship. It really set solid foundations for our friendship though. Like we had to have some very uncomfortable and honest conversations with each other. And it was really divine, like really divine. I know.
Like when you like meet, it's kind of like meeting someone that you feel like you've already met before. It was like when we met, it's kind of like I feel like I've known you for forever and
soul
like just
family,
kind of like we speak the same language, and I feel like it was just like instant kind of connection in that sort of way.
Both like similar parts on our journey as well. Like I know you've pushed me into growth.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's long distance, but with our phones, like we voice note all of the time. Like I feel like voice noting is what really keeps us in communication.
And you like we obviously work together now. Like we felt really called to start this podcast together. We started the Beehive together. So honestly, I see you more often than a lot of my local friends.
Yeah, me too. Well, yeah, I moved from where I originally lived in Ohio to California, and I feel like you're the main person that I see now. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. So mainly we've seen each other way more now that we're working together.
Yes, yeah.
But I feel like it is a friendship first and foremost. It's a friendship before anything else. And then we feel called to do this work because we're so passionate about what we do, and we feel like we were brought together for a reason.
Yes.
But it never really started online. It started in person, and then getting each other's numbers and voice noting and meeting up.
Yeah, and
then
then
it
look
just
at us
evolved
now.
into what this is.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for it. So it's something I want to say. It's hard with online friendships. It's because it's to really foster a friendship of any kind, any sort of relationship. You have to be putting in energy. Both parties have to be putting in energy. So if you feel like somebody's worth it, if they think that you're worth it, it's a mutual exchange at the end of the day.
Absolutely. So and if you have an online friend and you're wanting to make it into a reality, it's plan a trip to meet each other in a space where you can it's a middle of the road destination,
Okay, so I feel like this kind of is a good segue into our next question here. How have you navigated moving out of friendships that no longer align?
It's interesting because I was just talking to Brittany about this when I got here. I have 6 really close friends that I feel will always be my friends. They'll always be my friends. It's communicating in different capacities though. It's I feel like the people that are in my life will always be in my life, my close friends, but the amount that I speak with them is really the main thing that changes. But it's also different for me because I moved away to California. So all of them are distant friends now. So really communicating through voice notes and talking on the phone and all of that. But for me, I've never had to cut anyone out of my life. I have in navigating it in the way of focusing on myself and more aligned friendships that are on the same path as me have come into my life. But I haven't had to have any really hard conversations with friends, to be honest. That's not something that I've had to navigate because I feel it's we speak when we can. If that makes sense. You may have more.
I haven't really, just for the most part similar as you, sometimes you just grow apart, sometimes the amount, everyone goes through different seasons in life, and at the end of the day it's I really love my friends that have had a significant impact on me, even if I don't or in whatever chapter I was in, even if I don't speak to them as much. But there's definitely been people that have been taken out of my path because they haven't been in alignment with me, and ultimately it's not easy, but it's sometimes it can feel like a breakup, and it's just trusting that it's happening for a reason. It's not holding on. It's teaching you something at the end of the day. And
it's surrendering that, because I think too, I've definitely had people that have come on my path and then have left, and I feel it's really trusting. I feel friendship, so often we come into each other's lives to teach each other something, or learn how to communicate or stick up for ourselves, or whatever it may be, something to really evolve ourselves. And sometimes you have to have really hard conversations with friends or create boundaries for yourself in friendships. But it's ultimately I feel connecting with yourself enough to know when it's time to let someone go, and really trusting the timing of that, and but not, I feel not cutting someone out of your life, or it's seeing the beauty in the friendships, because I think friends are going to come and go, but it's finding the beauty in each of those friendships, because they all are here to teach you something.
Unless you need to, though, don't get me wrong. If you have a toxic friend in your life or something, this is where on your own path, it's learning and navigating. Okay, is this really in alignment with me? Is this person bringing me down? And if they are, maybe I need to have a hard conversation. And if they're not receiving it, then maybe I do need to walk away. I've needed to do that before, and it's not easy, but it's ultimately doing what's best for you always, and what's best for you is best for everybody else, even if the transition is difficult.
And when I say cutting people out, I mean like it's like in an angry kind of way, like I need them out of my life, like in a kind of like in a toxic kind of way, where it's like doing what is best for you, creating that distance, letting them go, but also like ultimately coming to the place where you can still send them love. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it not need, because I think friends and people that come into your life, they're so often they're beautiful teachers, you know. There's always a lesson in there. So seeing it for the lessons that it is, and trusting yourself if you feel like you need to create distance with people that just like aren't on the same path as you, that's okay. Doing it with love and trusting that more aligned friendships will come in.
And not harboring resentment. Right. Yeah. All right. Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Any advice on my passion becoming a service and facing imposter syndrome? So we're going to keep this one short, I think, because we have a whole video. I think one of our other episodes we did together about heart-led, there's like heart-led,
like living from a heart-led place,
living from a heart-centered
which
place,
goes into career as well.
Yeah. So definitely check that episode out. We get into detail on that. I know I also have a whole video of that on my YouTube. So if you want even more on that, you can check that out as well. But yeah, it's also one thing that I will say is just being patient. Trust that it's unfolding with the divine timing. If you're following your heart, it might not look the way your ego thinks it should look. So it's just being patient and building that trust within yourself, building that connection, making sure you're centered in the heart space, and it'll unfold exactly how and when it's supposed to.
Yeah, and I feel like so often with imposter syndrome, it's like getting caught up in like you thinking that you're like trying to be someone that you're not. But I feel like the more deeply you connect with yourself and the more you show up authentically and can like really get clear on who you truly are, so you can show up authentically, the imposter syndrome will kind of fall away, because it's like no one can do what you do in the way that you do it. And it's like really needing to take that time to connect with yourself and your heart, so you can always be leading from the heart space. And when you're leading from the heart space, you can't be anyone else, because we are all so uniquely different here with our own unique gifts, and like letting your own unique gifts shine, because the way that you speak about something is going to be different than anyone else, how anyone else speaks about something, because based off of your own life experience. Like we all have our different life experiences, so you're going to be able to bring your own perspective, your own unique way to talk about things, your own unique light to whatever you're trying to do. And like really when you step into that authenticity and know who you are, like that imposter syndrome really does like fall to the wayside.
It's like knowing yourself at the end of the day. The more you know your true self, your authentic self, the more your imposter syndrome will go away. Essentially, it's, you know, we wear masks because we want to protect ourselves. And when you're able to let go of those, step into your authenticity, it'll all just kind of flow.
Yeah. But last thing I want to say just about that is like only really speaking about things that have actually supported you, because in that way then it is authentic. Because I think so often people do it feels imposter syndrome because you're sharing things that you actually haven't even lived or experienced or done. You're just saying it because you
regurgitating.
Think you should. So it's like only sharing things that are like authentic to you, that have supported you, so it can feel authentic and not like you're just being an imposter and like following the rest of the crowd.
And know that you have had experiences that nobody else has had.
Yes, exactly. All
right, next question. How can one
speed questions?
Okay. We're trying. We want to get through a lot of them. How can one heal when those around you lack the knowledge to heal, especially with family?
So I think for this, I think so often it's harder if you are living with family and people that are also that are not on that path. But I feel like if you are older and you have your own place and you're able to like really focus on yourself, I think it's really taking the pressure off and stop like, I think it's just not even really worrying about the other people in your life and trusting that they are on their own path and releasing that judgment and just focusing in on yourself and what you need to do for you to get to a good place.
And meeting people where they're at.
Meeting people where they're at. And if you feel like you are on this journey, it's like also leading by example, and maybe by you doing you, and they see the changes that are happening within you, you'll like turn a switch on for them to want to start working on themselves, getting clear on their wounds, learning how to communicate. It's like being that example, but again, like meeting people exactly where they're at with no judgment, which can be hard.
And something that's coming to mind, you know, sometimes when you're on the healing journey, sometimes it's like we're seeking, you know, apology apologies from family members. It's like we're on the journey and we are realizing that we've been done wrong, and we want our family to heal too. We want that acknowledgement from them. We want that apology from them. And it's getting to a place where you understand that that might never happen, and it's having compassion for, you know, family, and knowing that everyone really is really doing the best that they can at the end of the day, and that could be hard. So maybe having those boundaries for yourself, you know, not telling you to accept less than what you deserve, establishing those boundaries, but coming from a place of compassion, understanding, leading by example, like Holly said, and just meeting a person where they're at.
Yeah, and oftentimes on your own path, you will find that you are able to, one, acknowledge your own pain. So you don't really need anyone else to acknowledge your pain. You get to acknowledge your own pain, and then see like Brittany said, at the end of the day, everyone's doing the best that they can. So being able to see even where like maybe your family members have been operating from wounds and how they have been hurt in their past. So it's like, I feel like the more that you do your own healing, the more compassion you actually have for the other people in your life, and you can just meet them exactly where they're at. And it's just like being that example and I know for me, I've opened up doors through different forms of community. I've like started to talk about real things with my family, which then gives them the opportunity to dig a little deeper and to like go there and different kind of broaden their perspective and think in a different way. So again, like leading by example, and just like, I feel it can be really easy to like judge when you are on this path, judging other people, wishing for other people to start doing this work. But that also is showing you where more work needs to be done for you. Because if you're judging someone else, I often think that it's coming from a judgment place for yourself as well. Like really learning how to come back to the heart space with no judgment, with compassion, with understanding for yourself, for others, and really, again, like meeting people where they're at.
Because it's one thing to know that you should have compassion for people, but it's a whole other thing to actually have that compassion and not have that resentment or that judgment or whatever it may be. So whenever you feel those things, that's okay. Just get curious about it and know that it's opportunity for you to dive a little deeper within. And just being patient, like Holly said, leading by example. And and I do think what you said about like boundaries, if you do feel like you need to have boundaries for yourself, definitely setting those boundaries in place for yourself so you can prioritize yourself at the end of the day and continue to focus on yourself and take care of yourself. But know by you taking care of yourself and just being able to show up more in the heart space with your family, like you're doing more good for your family than you can even imagine. Absolutely. Looking to connect with like-minded community on your journey of self-growth, self-love, and spiritual discovery? Join the Beehive, a supportive community hosted by Holly and I, designed to help you on your personal transformation and healing journey, and to help you tap into your innate wisdom with live monthly Q&A sessions, exclusive content, and a like-minded community. The Beehive is the perfect space to grow and step into your most authentic self. For more information and to sign up, check the link in the show notes. Okay, so I'm going to answer this one really quickly here. We have, where did you learn your light language? So I'll talk about this really quick. Light language is something I tapped into. It was not something that I was seeking. It wasn't something that I was trying to learn. It's something that we tap into within ourselves with time on our healing journey. For me, it wasn't, I want to tap into light language. For me, it was, I'm healing. I want to become the best version of myself. I'm on my self-love journey. And as a result of that, it just kind of happened. I started tapping into it. I have a whole video on that specifically on my YouTube, so check that out. I dive in deeper. So check that out because I definitely get into the more of the nitty gritty with that. But light language, I don't want to say it's not something you can necessarily learn because it's something that everyone can tap into. But it's something that will just kind of unfold with time. And it's also remembering we all have our own unique gifts and abilities. If you're not tapping into light language, that's okay. Maybe there's something else for you to tap into that you are yet to discover. And if you're too focused on, I want to tap into light language, and it's not working working for you, you might be preventing yourself from tapping into another really special, unique gift and ability that you have that maybe, you know, you haven't tapped into yet. So for me, it's like the focus is self-love, healing, becoming the best version of myself authentically. And as a result of that, your unique gifts will come to light regardless of what those gifts are. But if you want more on light language specifically, check out my YouTube. I don't know if you wanted to touch on that or anything.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't do light language, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, so next question. How does free will versus fate play out in our lives? How does it work? Example, soul agreements.
You can start.
Okay, so being completely honest with my answer, this is what I think, what I believe. Take this how this resonates. Like, I don't know. I think that it's a lot more complex than our human brains can comprehend. So I want to say that first and foremost. But I think it's like fate and free will is an intricate dance. It's like a weavingness of weaving things together. For example, we do have free will here, but I also do believe in fate and destiny. And destiny will play out depending on our free will, depending on the choices that we make. So let's say we're meant to meet a specific person. Our free will, let's say we're not actually ready to meet that person yet because we have more growing to do. It's like we might make a decision that ends up in us repeating a cycle, which might prolong us meeting this specific person. So in that case, it's like we're destined to meet that person, but because of our free will, it might take a little longer or, you know, come a little sooner. Not that there's a timeline. I don't want you to think that there's a timeline, but essentially it's like what's meant for you won't pass you by. You know, I think a lot of people get stuck on, oh, I'm going to make the wrong decision or blah, 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 blah. Trust that destiny is your destiny. You know, and another example that's coming to mind is, you know, like this healing work. If you're meant to be a healer and you feel like you're meant to heal, you know, do this sort of like service, it's your free will in how you go about that, you know. Yeah. Maybe you choose to do Reiki, maybe you choose to do tarot readings. I don't know. It's like an interweaving, and it's a dance of both. Trusting your intuition, following your intuition, and trusting that what's meant for you won't pass you by. I personally don't like to get too hung up on it and just, you know.
Yeah, I feel like what's coming to mind is like your destiny is your destiny, your fate is your fate. It just depends when you get there based off of free will.
You explained what I was trying to explain in like one sentence. Yes.
Yeah. Like I feel like what is meant for you will never pass you by, but it may take you longer to get there, but it will happen in this lifetime. Exactly. Because of free will. If you keep repeating the same cycle and not learning from your mistakes, which it's not your fault, that's part of your path. Yeah. It's like it may take you a bit longer to reach your fate and reach your destiny. But yeah, I feel like it's being reflective because I think at the end of the day, we do have free will. So we get to decide if we move past cycles and break certain cycles, or if we're going to get stuck in the same cycle.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I have the most confusing crush on this guy and need tips to get out of my head and letting go.
I feel like this is young.
Yeah.
Someone young, but that's sweet. I feel like the best thing that you can do if you like have a crush and it's confusing and you want to let go is really start focusing on yourself. Yeah. It's like focus on you.
Self-love.
Stop giving so much of your brain power away to this crush, which it can be fun to have a crush, you know, it's fun, it's cute. It's like that. And oftentimes when you have a crush, it's like how you think that person is when that person probably isn't really what you have in your mind.
Yeah.
Like it's like
the idealization. It's like
idolization.
Oh no.
No, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Like the idea of them.
Yes.
But so that's one thing that's really coming to mind is because oftentimes, we like think that, like we create what we think this person is actually like or what it would be like to be with them. But oftentimes when it happens, it's not like that. Reality. We like create this like beautiful, mystical kind of thing. Yeah. But the best thing that you can do specifically when it comes to letting go is like really focusing on yourself, learning how to love yourself, showing up for yourself, pouring all of that energy that you're pouring into that other person back into yourself, trusting and surrendering that if he's meant for you, he will come into your life, but you do not need to force anything.
Yeah. What's meant for you won't pass you by.
Exactly. If it's your fate, if it's your destiny, he will come in.
Absolutely.
But the best thing that you can do for yourself really is like really pour all of that time and energy you're pouring into him back into yourself, and getting curious about like, what is that filling within you? Like, is there something like, is this idealization of him like filling a void within you?
That's the word.
Yeah, I just said it without it. We were overthinking it. But is that filling something within you, like avoiding focusing more on yourself, like thinking so much about someone else, putting so much time and energy? Is it like, what is that filling within? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, it's like, okay, why? Oh, and something that's coming to mind too. Oh, I have chills. Often what you see in another person is a reflection of you. The amazing things that you're seeing in this person is you, is you. But what you're trying to say is like, okay, what am I seeking from this person? Why am I putting so much energy into this person? How can I fill that within myself?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I hope you can just, take that time and energy, pour it back into yourself, and trust that like, if you're meant to be with this person, he'll show up for you.
Exactly.
You know, you don't need to go seeking that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just trust, surrender, like, cause we love to control things, but it's really like leaning on that trust and that surrender and letting go, and really believing that if he's meant to come into your life, he will.
He will, in the perfect timing.
Yes.
Okay. What advice would you give someone trying to call in a job they enjoy?
Yeah, I feel like I would go back to the episode where we did like living from the heart space, or living a heart-centered life, because we really dive into really like coming back home to yourself, coming back home to your heart, and figuring out what your passion is. Like, what actually what kind of work do you feel called to do? And like really listening to your heart from that space, because when it's coming from an authentic heart-led space, you can make a career out of it, just like what both of us are doing. But it has to be coming from like a non-wounded place, like not a wounded space.
Yeah. And just being patient, you know, sometimes when you're uncomfortable in a job, that's actually a beautiful thing, because it's your soul indicating, hey, there's something for you to discover here. But often when we're uncomfortable, we're programmed to get rid of that uncomfortable feeling, you know, get rid of it. So searching for something else right away, when really there's discovery within the discomfort. So it's being patient, getting curious about it, instead of trying to get rid of that discomfort right away. We dive into it on that other episode really quick. I was stuck in an uncomfortable job for like 2 years, waking up crying, going into work every morning. But as a result of that, on the other end of the 2 years, I jumped into my dream job. So
and I'll just say too, like, oftentimes when you do go into a career where it's like very heart-led, it starts out as like a side hustle first. It starts out as something on the side that's like your passion. You feel like it's your purpose, you know, just like very passion filled. And then patience, after like time and it gets off the ground, then you can like pour all of your time and energy into it. But it's not something that happens overnight. It's a very long, it feels like for some people it can happen overnight, but for most it's like this slow progress, this slow progression. And something I want to say too is, if you're in a job that you don't necessarily like or resonate with right now, all of the jobs that you have are preparing you to like gain different skills and knowledge for you to eventually, if you feel called to have your own career, to help you have your own career. So what is the job that you're currently in trying to teach you? What skills is that trying to build within you right now, so you can take what you learned into your own business?
And even what's coming to mind too, because this might even, you know, if you just want a job to enjoy, it might not even be having your own business. It's like, okay, asking for help guide me, align me with a job that is best supportive for me right here, right now, wherever it is that you're at in your journey, you know, and trusting that position will, you know, will come to you. I mean, you might need to like look a little bit, but ask for guidance and be open, because the job might not be what your ego thinks it should be. You know, sometimes it might require a pay cut, for example. So just kind of want to put that out there too, but ask for help, ask for guidance, and ask for support, and trust that the right job that is most supportive for you will find its way to you if you're open. Okay. Who is God for you? Are you religious? So, want me to start that one?
Sure.
I grew up very Catholic, personally. Not going to get into details. Personally now, like, I'm not religious, nothing against religion. I believe that there are truths in all religion. I think that there's beauty in all religion. with that said, through my journey, you know, I took a course in university learning about all different religions because I was curious. And this is my opinion. What I've come to realize is a lot of religions are the same. A lot of the morals are very similar teachings. And I realized, like, they're all trying to teach the same thing at the end of the day. Essentially, like love, you know, unconditional love. So for me, I personally don't, you know, like the rules. I don't like the strict rules and stuff like that. You know, coming from my background, that's what was my experience, like really, really strict, really, you know, so I kind of like don't like that because of my experience. So for me, I pull away from that. But I believe in God. You know, I have my own relationship with Jesus and Mary that has completely like evolved over time. You know, like I was Catholic, I believed in them, and then I was like, I don't know if they're real, and then I have a whole new relationship with them now that's, you know, not in a religious context, if that makes sense. I believe in a God. I believe in a higher power. To me, God is unconditional love. I believe he lives in us, through us. He is us. He's outside of us. You know, I think that we are all God. It's kind of like, take a cloth, for example. Let's say God is the cloth. We are all a strand of that cloth. God is unconditional love, and that is the essence of our being, unconditional love. So that's what God is for me, the universe, source, spirit, whatever it is you want to call it. Like I call it God, sometimes I call it spirit, sometimes I call it source. I don't necessarily have just one name because I know God is often associated with being a male. To me, like God is androgynous. Sometimes it comes through as a masculine energy, sometimes it comes through as a feminine nurturing energy. God is everything and nothing all at once. It is unconditional love. So that's my belief. I'm not specifically religious anymore. I do have that background. Nothing against religion, though. I do see the beauty in it.
Yeah, so like Brittany, I grew up Catholic as well, which I'm so grateful for. You know, I can see the beauty in it. I'm so grateful that my parents brought me up in that. I went to a Catholic grade school, high school. And for me, I've always believed in a higher being, like God. And, you know, my mom and my dad really instilled that in me. We would pray before every meal, like pray before going to bed, which I'm, you know. And so I grew up like, you know, believing in God and Jesus and Mary and all of that. But I never really felt the connection. Like I never felt a connection until I started going on my healing journey, really like my self-love journey of like really like I started questioning everything. I was just like, I don't really resonate with going to church, but I believe that there is a higher power. I know this has been instilled in me my whole life. So like there has to be something out there, but I never, like I said, I never really felt it. And it wasn't until I started to really come home to myself that I really started feeling all of the love, all the guidance around me, like my spirit guides, my guardian angels, my ancestors, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. That's when I really started to actually feel it. And when I started like getting curious about what do I actually believe in? Like I know I grew up Catholic, but I don't necessarily resonate with going to church all of the time. And it wasn't until I actually read The Untethered Soul. At the end of the book, they talk about how God, it's like God is like the sun, and when you can choose to step into the light and feel the love, or like stay in the dark, basically. I don't know. There was something about that book at the end that really shifted my perspective of like, oh my God, God is real. And then also when I went to like a church in Puerto Rico, that's when I had this huge epiphany around like God and Jesus and how it has to be real. Like we know about this, anything that is rooted in truth is people know about. Like how do we still know about Jesus and God to this day when it happened so long ago? I was like, it's rooted in truth. There's truth to God. There's truth to Jesus. And that's when I really started opening myself up again. And I really started to feel it. And I feel all the love and the guidance around me all of the time, but it's not necessarily like in the Catholic Church anymore. It's because of there are just so many rules and regulations, and I know they're onto something, but it's become, and all religions, they're onto something. It's all, like Brittany said, it all goes back to unconditional love, non-judgment, here to like accept everybody. And I just feel like I've gained my own unique relationship that I'm so grateful for. So it doesn't really fit into the box of religion, but that doesn't mean that I don't believe in like religion. It's just I feel like my own my own relationship now.
Yeah. And yeah, same thing. Like growing up in the Catholic elementary and high school, my connection started on my true healing journey. And like something that I want to add is like, look at nature. Look at how perfect nature is. Like you see God, if you choose to see the light, you know, you can see God everywhere, all around you in nature, and just the perfection of what this universe is.
Yeah. That's what my mom always says. She like, it's like God's painting, you know, like all the sunsets and all that. There's so much beauty, and like, God is everywhere. And
Okay.
We're interrupting this episode to share something close to our hearts, our virtual healing circles. We have been loving them so much and meeting so many of you incredible people through them. Brittany and I are passionate about bringing people together to support one another and heal in community. We felt alone on our paths for so long, and coming together in community has been instrumental to our growth, and we've both seen the importance in it. We aren't meant to do this alone. In unity and vulnerability, we find strength, courage, and support each other on our paths back to ourselves. Our monthly virtual seminars blend discussions, workshops, and practices to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Whether seeking guidance, healing, or a listening ear, our gatherings offer a safe, inclusive space for people to connect, heal, and grow. Join us on this journey of healing in community. Together we can heal, grow, and thrive. Register for the next circle using the link in the show notes. We hope to see you there.
Next question. All right. How do you start to heal your inner child when you don't know where to start?
I love inner child healing, and all inner child, inner teenager healing has been like the most profound form of healing for me. If you don't know where to start, I definitely recommend getting the book Happy Days by Gabby Bernstein. That's where I started learning about inner child healing. Was through that book and understanding like young wounds. And something else, if you're looking for a place to start, is like when I went through my embodiment coaching course, this is really when I dove deep into inner child, inner teenager healing, is like writing out from year 1 to 12 any painful experiences, any memories, any painful experiences that may have happened to me through those years, like mapping out those specific years in my life. And then later on, after that's like inner child, then 13 to 19 is doing the same thing with inner teenager. So you can get like really clear on the memories and like the painful experiences that happened to you in each year, to kind of see like everything that you've been through, and really start to like just remember, because oftentimes we forget and suppress so many memories, and like oftentimes people say that I don't even remember my childhood, which is also oftentimes like a trauma response, like your mind forgets to protect you. But if you're having a hard time remembering, like looking back at old photos, like talking to your parents or your siblings or whomever it be, to try and like really remember, like try and like regain some memories. That's where I feel like really gaining that awareness first is a beautiful place to start, and like really bringing through the memories.
And something that's coming to mind for me, you know, sometimes like memories will just like pop into your head from childhood, and you're like, why am I remembering this? You know, like sometimes these memories just pop in, seemingly insignificant. Just get curious about them. It's your subconscious, your spirit team trying to help you along your path. You know, also it's acknowledging that even if you had the best parents in the world, even if they were amazing and they loved you, there's always wounds. It's like we all have stuff to heal from. Even it's like they did the best with the tools they had. It doesn't mean that there's nothing for you to heal from. Like I know for me, I didn't even realize there was so much healing for me to do because I had parents that loved me so much. It was, later in life I realized, I'm like, oh shit. Like, oh shit. I don't know that song. But yeah, like what Holly said, I think is like just like getting reflective, going over your childhood. I think is bringing it to awareness. Oh, and asking for help, asking for guidance. Help me dive into my healing journey, Spirit. Help lead me. Help bring this stuff to my awareness. And just simply by asking, by like wanting to embark on this journey, they will bring stuff to you. Whether it's maybe they bring a coach into your reality, maybe they bring a program into your reality, maybe they bring a book into your reality. And it's just asking and following those little intuitive hits.
Yeah, and I think too it'll unfold too, especially if you're on the healing self-love journey, like learning how to love yourself, knowing that if you even have resistance, like saying I love you to yourself in the mirror, or I'm learning to love you, like what younger parts of you like don't feel worthy of love. It's just there's so many things that will come up on this path. And also like inner child meditations, even on our podcast there's one 15-minute inner child meditation to help you like start that connection. I have so many inner child meditations in the Beehive that we're hosting together.
We have a lot on the Beehive.
If you come to any of our healing circles, the meditations I take you through are oftentimes diving into those young wounds. So it's even like if you're struggling with anxiety, there's inner child healing within that as well. Like anytime you're feeling anxious, it's a younger part of you that needs to feel seen. So just like, you know, closing your eyes, doing some deep breathing, seeing like if you don't feel enough, like if you're feeling stupid, if you're feeling like people are making fun of you, like, you know, it's like often those small things are stemming from these young wounds.
And getting curious about your triggers too, because often that's a younger part of you that's getting triggered.
Yes.
So just, you know, instead of maybe reacting, it's like, okay, why am I so triggered? You know, and just get curious from it, because it probably stems from a younger part of you.
Yeah. Even like, for example, just like a quick example is even like me speaking on the podcast before, that was so scary to me because of these young wounds of my younger self, like in first grade, second grade school, of like being called on and not knowing the answer and feeling like stupid and uncomfortable and getting laughed at, or doing bad on a test and just feeling like getting made fun of. So it's even if you're speaking today and you like are feeling that anxiety, it's oftentimes stemming from those young wounds that may have felt so insignificant. You wouldn't think that those would be like traumatic, but like at that age, those things can really have an imprint on your nervous system and who you are.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful.
And if you need support, I love inner child healing. You can book a 1 hour session with me through my website, and I can help you kind of like connect to that younger part of you as well, because it's so powerful.
Definitely recommend Holly's services.
Thank you.
All right. We have 2 more questions left.
Okay.
Which I feel like we're moving through pretty well here.
Yeah.
How do we learn to silence the anxiety, ego, and noise in order to develop more intuitive gifts?
Okay. So I would say the best way to start really silencing the mind, silencing it all, is sitting in meditation. First, I feel like really sitting with yourself, sitting in meditation, doing some deep belly breathing, because oftentimes when you're feeling anxiety, you're not feeling safe in your body and you're stuck in the mind. So either sitting in meditation, doing some deep belly breathing, or going out for a walk to help get out of the mind into the body, so you can really start to like connect.
Yeah, I feel like that's huge. So what's coming to mind for me is when you have, you know, all of the noise, the anxiety, getting really curious, like, okay, where is this coming from? Like, where is this anxiety coming from? How can I get to the root of this? Because when you can get to the root of this, and when you can heal that and move through it, it's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, because you can heal from anxiety. And like I said earlier, anxiety is most likely 9 times out of 10 a younger part of you that needs to be seen and heard and validated in that moment.
Yeah.
Whenever you're stuck in anxiety, you can even look into Anxiety MD, Dr. Russell Kennedy. He's a neuroscientist that talks about how anxiety and inner child is so linked, but you can heal when you get curious about that anxiety, because it's like an alarm system, and needing to go in and investigate and turn the alarm off. It's like seeing and soothing that younger part of you.
So just like ultimately, it's not as simple as this is what you can do and boom, your intuitive gifts are turned on. It's
a process.
It's a process. It's a journey. Be patient with yourself. Get curious about your triggers, your wounds, inner child healing. Essentially, like for me, tapping into my intuition was directly correlated with my healing journey. The more I healed, the more my gifts opened.
And it's like learning on your healing journey, you learn the voice of your soul and your higher self and the ego and the mind. You can really differentiate when you are operating from the mind and the ego versus when you're listening to your intuition. Like the differentiation of the voices becomes clear, more clear. But that comes on the journey of like coming home to yourself, learning how to trust yourself, having that discernment, and like learning how to like silence the mind, which I really feel like meditation is like such a powerful way to start like really tuning in.
It's not an overnight thing. There is no quick fix. So just be patient with yourself, have compassion for yourself, and just know that it is like a forever journey too. And another thing that's coming to mind is it is a forever journey. Like you can heal and tap into your intuition, but it's important to be taking care of yourself always, you know, like have those routines, do the meditation, like those things to keep yourself in check, for lack of a better word.
What's coming to mind is the gutters, keeping your gutters clean,
keeping the gutters clean,
because it can get clogged in any given moment, especially if you start, you know, if you're like taking care of yourself, you fall off your routines and you're feeling really, really in tune and in touch with your intuition, but then like you fall off a bit, it can go right, you know, the clutter can come back. So it's like continuing to show up for yourself daily, every single day, doing things that take care of your mind, body, and spirit, so you can keep that connection going.
100%. Okay, so last question that we picked out for today. Any advice on self-sabotaging with a food addiction? I've been overweight my whole life.
Yeah, so especially when it comes to food and self-sabotaging, oftentimes food becomes a survival strategy. So it's being so incredibly compassionate with yourself during this time. But again, this is where inner child healing comes in, because it's oftentimes these wounds, these things that are coming up for you that are young wounds that then you feel uncomfortable and turn to food immediately. It's like being unable to sit with the uncomfortable, and your body and your mind know that food has always kept you safe, always kept you comfortable. So it's become a survival strategy. It's quite literally your mind, your body trying to protect you and keep you safe from seeing uncomfortable things, sitting in uncomfortable emotions. So being so grateful for food and all that it's done for you. If this has been a lifelong journey for you, food has quite literally like helped you survive up until this point. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's not as simple as like having more self-discipline.
Absolutely not. It's like this is a deep rewiring, unshedding, really getting curious, because the self-sabotage is often like trying to protect you in some sort of way.
So it's like having more compassion, having compassion for yourself, not hating yourself for it too, because I know that especially with society today, we're made to feel less than if we have extra weight on us, which is so untrue. So it's really having compassion for yourself, just starting to develop a deeper understanding. Where is this coming from? Like Holly said, dives into those inner child wounds and all of that. And Holly and I have an episode out where we dive into, because like I've had eating disorders, Holly has as well, and we really dive into that. We talk about that. So that episode might be supportive for you.
Just being really compassionate. And what I want to say too is like getting so curious when you see these self-sabotaging ways come through, because it's almost like one of my clients really struggled with binge eating, and she felt like a monster was taking over each time that wanting to turn to food, but really it's like this protection wanting to come in. And so it's like every time you feel like you're about to turn to food, sitting with yourself, take a seat, take a deep breath, do some deep breathing. What is coming up within you? Are you feeling like you're being rejected? Is there it's oftentimes like a young thing of not feeling good enough, feeling rejected, like whatever it may be that is uncomfortable for you to sit in, that feels uncomfortable, needing to turn to food immediately to self-soothe. It's like sitting in that moment, doing some deep belly breathing, and just getting really curious about what's coming up for you. What are you feeling? And allowing yourself to feel what is coming up, knowing that it's safe for you to feel what's coming up in place of turning to food. But that in itself is a rewiring and a journey, especially if this is something that you've struggled with your whole life, but it's protecting you from feeling really uncomfortable, hard emotions. So just know that each time you feel in place of turning to food, you are healing, but it's a deep rewiring. This can take years and years, but it gets easier and easier each time you do it, but it's really deeply ingrained. So just be really compassionate with yourself during the process. And if you need deeper support, I'm not trying to plug my services, but like if you need deeper support, like I really have a whole program dedicated to supporting people on their like journey of coming back home to self, instead of like not giving your power away to food anymore, and like really learning how to heal and create a healthy relationship with yourself, with your body and food, because it's something I struggled with for years, and I'm so passionate about this work. So yeah,
and like definitely recommend her services. So and just one thing I feel called to say is your self or your worth is not based on your appearance. You know, I just know that society, unfortunately, there's so much pressure on the way that we look. So because of that, sometimes it's like we will, you know, almost like try to like hate ourselves into change. Yeah. And it has to come from a compassionate place, a loving place.
Yeah.
So
you cannot hate or shame your way into change.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to addiction, it's like, it's definitely not an overnight thing. It's like very deeply woven, but you can heal.
Yeah.
You can. It has to be intentional, and it's going to be messy.
And it's slow.
Yeah, but there are tools, learning how to create that safety from within, having those healthy coping mechanisms, and really leaning on those. Because with addiction, it can overtake your life. It can be like totally consuming. So, but it is possible to create that healthy relationship. But even like the self-sabotaging, getting curious, The Mountain Is You by Brianna West is coming to mind. So maybe look into that book, because oftentimes it's like, we get in our own way, but really it's from a source of protection.
Always.
So it's like really needing to understand the deeper reasonings of why we're self-sabotaging.
Just getting to know yourself more. And it goes back to really, like Holly said, the inner child. A lot of it stems from like the inner child.
Yeah. And getting curious. Yeah. Getting curious of your relationship with food and body growing up too. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
that was a lot of questions. We flew through those.
We were like, I was like, okay, we have a lot of questions. Like, let's try to get this in about like 50 minutes to an hour or so.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it. Yay. Because like I said at the beginning, we can probably talk hours on just like one of those questions.
Yeah.
So but with that, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever it is you are in the world. If you do have any other questions, shoot us an email. We would love to hear from you.
Yes.
I guess until next time.
Yeah, with that, we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Bye.
As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude for joining us on this journey. Your support does not go unnoticed. If you enjoyed this episode and find value in our conversations, please take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also allows us to reach more people who can benefit from our community of healing and support. Every review, every rating makes a difference. Thank you for being a part of the Multiple Truths podcast family. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Multiple Truths podcast. Keep speaking your truth and spreading your light. We love you, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.